Hello, good morning. It is Morning Coffee with Steve, episode 207, I believe. Yeah, I think that makes sense. For Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. I'm Steve Saylor. This is your daily show of gaming news, accessibility news, or updates about my life. I currently in a hotel room in San Francisco right now, and I have my coffee. Actually, not bad. It's just from the cafe downstairs in my hotel, and it's not bad. It's pretty good. Oh, actually, I'm gonna enjoy that immensely. So yes, I am. As I mentioned, I am in San Francisco. I'm here for basically just some work stuff, ish. I mean, I'm basically to hang out with some friends, and I'm attending an event here. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I'm gonna be basically here for the next couple of days, and then I'll be going to. Um, Raven Studios, or technically where Raven Studios is in Wisconsin, because I get to attend my first launch party this week. I'm going to the Black Ops 6 launch party for Raven Studios, so I'm very excited about that. Actually, I think if you heard me talk about before, it's my first launch party, so I'm very excited about that. But yeah, so once again, we're gonna be in the hotel. So I apologize for like it's not the best quality. Apparently, I guess this desk that I'm on doesn't even have a lamp, so I couldn't even get proper lighting. I guess the hotel I chose was just a little bit more of a hipster kind of thing, and one of the hipster things is we don't need a lamp on desks. It's too old-fashioned. Anywho, a little bit of housekeeping. So yesterday was actually the embargo, but unfortunately I couldn't be able to get the video up in time. But there is going to be a video that is going to launch today on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you can be able to catch it when it goes up, or follow me on socials to know when it goes live. But I do actually have a preview of Lego Horizon Adventures. I was able to go to the PlayStation offices in Toronto to be able to play 90 minutes of the game. I got to play with actually my friend Aaron, aka Caboose, and we got to do some co-op. And so I have my accessibility impressions video coming up to later, like sometime today. Basically, this, however long it's going to take for me to be able to upload upload the video from hotel Wi-Fi. So fingers crossed, knock on wood, I should be okay. But make sure again, subscribe to my channel so you can be able to get that notification and see it when it goes live. All right, let us jump into the news because actually, speaking of Horizon, oop, did I lose my? Oh, here we go. I think I just got to load again. Um, come on, come on, little guy. Of course it just decides to like not work. Anyway, here we go. Guerilla art director says the studio was done with Killzone, prefer working on Horizon. This is coming from who was written about Chris Scullion at VGC. In an interview with the Washington Post, art director Roy Postma, who has worked at Guerrilla for 24 years, says that following the release of Killzone Shadowfall on PS4, the studio decided it no longer wanted to work on the Killzone series. Instead, they opted to start work on a new series with more colorful environments as opposed to the grittier, grayer worlds of Killzone. We were done with it as a team, Postman explained. As a studio, we needed to refresh the palette. It was by choice, the opposite of Killzone. Posma also just suggested that the more diverse nature of the Horizon games means it appeals to a wider audience. I think the themes that this story and the characters represent are relatable for all ages and people, like having a found family of friends and finding your place in the world. So actually, I can't. I am. I never really played the. I'm gonna skip this ad if I can. Oh, it's great. There's more video stuff coming up. Let me try to pause this. Um, I'm a fan of, or actually, I never really played the like the Killzone series. I was never really into I was never really into that series in PS4 because I wasn't really a PlayStation player at that point. I was pretty much mostly on Xbox. And also at the time, I was also kind of like not really wanting to be able to do or wanting to be able to play video games at that because they were just getting too complex. And so when they announced they're going to be making like a game like Horizon, it did pique my interest, and so I think that that was probably the better call. I know it's probably there are some Killzone fans that are wanting this game to be, or wanting a new version, or remastered, or a new addition to the Killzone series, and maybe they might come back to it at some point, or PlayStation might sort of activate, like, or maybe be able to activate a studio to be able to make a remake or something for it, but within the series. But I think seeing that Guerrilla is definitely the Horizon studio, they are very much that's very much a passion for them. The fact that they not only have created, um, basically, like basically Horizon Zero Dawn with its DLC, and then Horizon Forbidden Shores with its DLC, and then now Lego Horizon Adventures, and supposedly they're working on other games and potentially a multiplayer game as well. They're definitely in the Horizon sort of camp, and I'd be okay with it. And personally, I'm like, I think that's probably the better choice. I know it seems like they're kind of like throwing Horizon, like just doing everything Horizon, and they really want that to be a success, and I think it is a success for them. It just, again, I always still feel bad every time that they try to be able to put out a game, and it basically, like, it just gets overshadowed by another open world game. I'm really like, obviously it's a success for PlayStation, and Herman Holst, who's kind of one of the heads of PlayStation right now, has definitely a hot soft spot for Guerrilla because that's his old studio. So I definitely, like, I want to see more games in this series. I want to see more games in this world. They've also, oh yeah, they've even got a VR game, Call of the Mountain, for PSVR 2. Actually, it's a pretty good game. I know it's PSVR 2, so you have to get a PS5 and a PSVR 2 to play. But if you do have both of those, definitely that's a game to play. It's probably the game to play on PSVR 2. It's really fun. It's also great. It's also good for accessibility too, because you can have turn on a setting where you never fall, so you actually don't have to worry about, like, if you're prone to, like I don't know. Basically, if you're scared basically of falling, or if you have a fear of heights, and you don't want it, you don't want the game to fall on you if you miss a handhold or whatever as you're climbing. They have the option to be able to turn that off, so you can actually be able to, like, rest, and you don't have to tense up and be stressful, which is nice. I do appreciate that. So I think that Horizon is just it's just a series that's going to keep on going for a while, and I think that statement definitely sort of now pretty much solidifies that they are not going to be working on Killzone for the time being, which is fine. I'm okay with that. They did actually also, there was another story that I was going to put in here, but it was just sort of more of a quick one. And speaking of Lego Horizon Adventures, so this is something I did also confirm back at Summer Game Fest, but there is now an official statement. They did recast Silence for Lego Horizon Adventures. If you don't know, Silence was played by Lance Reddick, who we sadly lost last year. Um, they did recast him for this game. They have not announced the person or the actor who has replaced him as of yet, but they will be announcing him at a later date. I'm assuming probably closer to the launch, which is November 14th. So yeah, uh, I'm glad that they did that. I mean, like, of course, keeping Lance would have been the ideal, but and I would have loved to have been able to see sort of a playful Silence, as it were, in the Lego game. But you know what, I think they'll do a good job, or whoever they get to replace. I mean, Keith David replaced Savala in Destiny 2, who was played by Lance Reddick, and he did an amazing job for the final shape. And definitely, you can tell it was him, but also you can tell that he was honoring the cadence and the tone that Lance gave for Savala, and it was an amazing job. It was an amazing tribute, and I think they dedicated the game to Lance as well. So I'd be very curious to see who they got to replace him for Lego Horizon. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Moving on to the next story, if I can get the thing to load again. Sorry, I'm basically just trying to. It's kind of one of those. It's like all of a sudden you have everything set up, and then it just nothing works. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I always have these, like, tabs open, pretty much ready to go before I start recording, but for some reason Safari is just like, no, no, we're done. Here we go. Okay, so next story. Naughty Dog, their next game will reportedly offer a lot more player freedom. The Last of Us studio has multiple single player titles in development. Naughty Dog's next game will reportedly have a significant focus on player freedom. That's according to MinMax founder Ben Hansen, who said he'd received some information about the secretive project from somebody very in the know who worked on the game. The tone was like, you are all not ready for how amazing this thing is going to be. And the tone was, I'm not going to say the game that they referenced to compare it to because I don't want people to be like, MinMax said it was going to be exactly like this, but they compared it to a game with a lot of player freedom. Hansen added that the game Naughty Dog's upcoming title was compared to wasn't Hitman. Wonder why that was a rumor. I never understood that. Naughty Dog head Neil Druckmann said last year that he'd like the studio to focus less on traditional narrative in future projects. I'm more recently intrigued by stuff like Elden Ring and Inside that don't rely on as much traditional narrative to tell a story. He told the Washington Post. I think some of the best storytelling in The Last of Us, yes, a lot of it is in the cinematics, but a lot of it is in the gameplay and moving around in space and understanding a history of a space by just looking at it and examining it. To me right now is some of the best joy I get out of the games. Those that trust their audience to figure things out, that don't hold their hand. That's the stuff I'm really intrigued by going forward. And what this may mean for future Naughty Dog projects, Druckmann added, it doesn't mean we will never have dialogue or cutscenes. I think there are tools, those are tools in your toolbox, and it's about how to use all these different aspects. Some of it from other media, some of it found notes, environmental storytelling. I think that there's a way to push that stuff forward, at least for the kind of games that we make at Naughty Dog. I'm really intrigued. Again, we've never we're never we're never resting on our laurels and trying something a little bit new, a little bit different that not everyone's going to like, but that's okay. And again, it's stuff that we're working on now. I can tell you that the teams are very excited by the different projects we have at Naughty Dog. So I will say I don't know anything about what Naughty Dog is working on, even though I've worked with Naughty Dog in the past for Last of Us Part Two and the remake and the Part One. I have no idea what Naughty Dog is working on outside of Naughty Dog. So they don't tell me anything, which is fine. I honestly understand that. But here's the thing, though. At first glance, when Neil Druckmann mentions Elden Ring as sort of an inspiration about environmental storytelling, immediately I know that people in the accessibility space would be like kind of put up their arms and be like, whoa, put up their hands and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're talking about Elden Ring. Elden Ring's not really accessible. What, like, does that mean that basically you're going backwards as far as accessibility? And I don't think that that's the case. I think that there is a lot of buy-in within the studio to make their games accessible. It obviously was a huge success for them. Just not only just like within the community, within the industry, but also just within the like in general for like making money. Like it made like selling or doing it in accessibility definitely like that amount of accessibility made them money. There are people that I know that have bought consoles and the game specifically so they can be able to play it because there's accessibility in there. So I don't think that Druckmann or that Neil, knowing like whereas when Neil and I are acquaintances, I don't think that he like when he says he's inspired by Elden Ring. I think that that's why I continued reading and saying what he said was because he likes the idea of environmental storytelling. He likes the idea of because Last of Us being like a very linear game, and that if their next game is going to be sort of give it a little bit more freedom, I'm willing to admit or I'll probably be willing to speculate that I think that it will be. I think it probably will be maybe open world. And that'll be a very interesting thing to tackle, especially for accessibility. I'd be very curious to see what they do for that. It is something that I think that, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say that Naughty Dog may have shot themselves in the foot by making one of the most accessible games of all time, and that they need to try to be able to do that again. And this has been a fear of mine recently because I felt like that when The Last of Us came out, it proves that you can be able to add make a game fully accessible, especially for those who are blind. But the industry wasn't ready for it yet. The industry was not ready for that amount of accessibility. That's why I think a lot of people are kind of disappointed that there's not a lot of games that are out that are like The Last of Us in regards to accessibility. And again, it's because the industry there was a lot of studios that didn't even really understand or know what accessibility was until The Last of Us came out. So we're still in that incubation period that we were 10 years ago when accessibility was kind of starting to be taught and learned. we're now kind of at that point where hopefully we'll see more games that have accessibility. We have, but it's going to take still a little bit longer for more games to come out, or basically at a regular cadence that it's going to have as much as accessibility, if not more. And I think that it's an interesting challenge that Naughty Dog faces in that if they like, it's either they're going to either make another fully accessible game, or it's not going to be at the same level as The Last of Us is. And I'm afraid that people like well-intentioned accessibility folks are going to be disappointed, but I think if you are in the know, you probably would understand why. It's not the fact that Naughty Dog didn't want to put accessibility. I mean, like, you can take this clip and use it in the future if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But I have a feeling that if this game that they're working on, their next game, is not going to be as fully accessible, it's not because that they didn't want to do it. I think it's because they were the pioneers of it. They were the first sort of game to do a lot of stuff. They had to do a lot of different things on a technical back end to make it work. That is not necessarily the most efficient way to do things. So they're either going to have to like come up with a really great way to be able to make these player freedom choices, make it more accessible, and hopefully they're able to do that. And that they're like, yes, that we're determined to be able to make this as accessible as possible. And I would love to be able to see it. I would love to be able to see them basically just knock it out of the park again. But if it doesn't reach that level, I want to like pre-warn folks now. If it isn't as fully accessible as we hope it will, and as much as I hope it will, it's not to say that Naughty Dog didn't want to do it. It just, again, the industry is still learning. And yes, they have a lot of dedicated people to accessibility at Naughty Dog. And I'd be willing to bet that they're going to do their absolute fantastically best. But it'd be, like, again, it's just like, it's in that I'm not necessarily, like, it's not that I don't want it to be inaccessible. I really do. I really, really, really do. I'm just afraid that people might be disappointed by their next game. Especially if it's going to be more player freedom, which means it could potentially be open world, and no one's really nailed an open world accessible title yet. Naughty Dog could do it. They very easily could be the first one to really kind of nail it, and I hope they do. I'm just Naughty Dog or Last of Us was a proof that it could be done, but it wasn't necessarily like a trend that this is where the industry is at. If that makes sense, I don't know. I'm not trying. I don't know. I'm not trying to backpedal. I want it to be accessible, and I hope it does. I hope they're like, yes, let's make this as accessible as possible, and I hope it happens. I don't know. I want it to be. I really want it to be, but we've been disappointed in the past from some folks, and I'm just like, I don't want to say I'm going to be disappointed by Naughty Dog. I really don't. I don't know what I'm saying. It's very early in the morning, and I'm trying to gather my thoughts. It's the first time I'm kind of thinking about it, but and I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's not that I don't want it to succeed, or please don't take me out of context. I'm just very curious to find out like to what if to what it is, and if they are still as dedicated to accessibility. They could potentially they could still be. I think they are. Anyway, moving on. All right, next story. And of course, everything just decides to flake out on me. Here we go. Let's go with this story, because the other one was like I wasn't too sure what to do. All right, Valve won't release new Steam Deck models yearly. Steam Deck 2 will be a generational leap. This is from GameSpot by Grace Burnfell. Burfell. The Steam Deck will not get a yearly iterations a la the iPhone, according to one of its designers, though a Steam Deck 2 will likely happen at some point. In an interview with Reviews.org, spotted by The Verge, Steam Deck designer Lawrence Yang said, "We're not going to do a bump every year. There's no reason to do that." He elaborated that he felt it was unfair to customers to offer only incremental improvements each year, he said. "We really do want to wait for a generational leap in compute without sacrificing battery life before we ship to the second generation of Steam Deck." As answer matches prior statements Valve has made on several occasions last year, Valve employees stated that a more powerful Steam Deck will be years away, late 2025 at the earliest. Valve engineer Pierre-Luc Griffet explained that part of the Steam Deck brand, at least for now, is that every model can play the same games. Valve doesn't want to change that until Steam Deck performance gets a significant boost without losing battery life. Later in the interview, Yang did note that Valve is working on a Steam Deck successor. Steam Deck did get an upgrade last year in the form of the Steam Deck OLED, which improves battery life and display quality. The Steam Deck's popularity has resulted in a variety of competitors, including the Asus ROG Ally, which got Steam OS support in August, the best Steam Deck game to play right now. Oh, sorry. All right, this is from the article. That's just a link to another one. I'm actually kind of glad that that Valve is doing this, and that they aren't doing a yearly sort of update. I think that I think the folks kind of maybe thought that that was going to be the case because of the Steam OLED or Steam Deck OLED came out, that they were probably going to be able to release a new Steam Deck this year. But I am okay with this because I love the statement that they made that they want basically every person who has a Steam Deck to be able to play the same games no matter what. Yes, the Steam Deck OLED does improve performance, and it does actually is a little bit better than the original Steam Deck. But they are still selling the original Steam Deck. It's not that they sort of gave up on it, and that's the OLED's the only one they sell. I personally like my Steam Deck. I think it might be broken because anytime I play it, and I figured it out basically once the GPU is not getting enough power, and the fans start kicking in, or at least basically kind of, I think it's potentially might be that it gets too hot. The game literally will stutter to like 4 frames per second and then just freeze. And I have to either close out the game completely or shut down the Steam Deck in order to be able to open it back up again. And it's a constant thing. Um, I've had it pretty much like once a year, like once I've had it for about a year, that's when it kind of happened, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I think it might, and I looked it up online, and it might be that my Steam Deck is broken, but I don't have the money to be able to just disposable cash in order to be able to replace it right now with an OLED. I would love to, but I have an ROG Ally, and I kind of like playing on that more. Yes, it's not necessarily the greatest for battery life, and I would love an Ally X to be able to help with that, but it is at least a little bit more. I can play games more and not have to worry about it like losing frame rate essentially. So I'm glad that they're not going to be able to do a Steam Deck 2 until at least like next year at the latest. Because yeah, I think and here's the thing, as much like Nintendo was the first sort of studio, the first company to basically popularize handheld gaming. The Switch was amazing leap forward in that. And then I think that's what sort of inspired Valve to make a Steam Deck. And then once the Steam Deck came out, I think that was more, that was what it was sort of revolutionized PC gaming on a handheld. And I am a big fan of that. I love being able to play my PC games on a handheld. I'm really looking forward to whatever Xbox is going to come out if they're going to do a handheld. And I love having a portal for connecting to my PlayStation at home. There's a lot of things I'm just a big fan of the handheld gaming side because it allows me to, like, kind of on a personal note, when I'm sitting in my office and I'm working kind of all day, I have all my consoles set up to it. I have my PC, my Xbox, my Switch, my PS5. Everything is connected to the TV, and there are days where yeah, I can play games on it and I have no problem. But if I'm spending like 6, 7 hours a day or like 8 hours a day, like a full work day in my office, often I don't want to play a game in my office again. I want to be like I want to just get up and play either a game in my living room. And unfortunately, I can't play games in my living room because the living room setup is not cohesive for my accessibility needs. So I have a handheld gaming device so I can be able to do that. So I can sit in my couch, be able to turn on whatever game I wanted to. That's why I love my Ally because I can play whatever games I want. I can connect to my Xbox. I can connect to my PlayStation if I would do it with my Portal. I can connect to my PC and I can be able to play games that way, and it's great. It's honestly that's the main reason why I use it. Would I buy the Steam Deck 2? Probably. I think that's probably that might be the thing I would wait in order to be able to if I was to get a new handheld. I think that might be the one that I would wait to get. I don't like. Does that mean I'm going to buy one in between now and then? I don't know. I think at a certain point I'm going to need to because of just the technical the technical prowess of upcoming handhelds. and I might also buy one an Xbox One if that comes out between now and then. But I think I might, if I'm going to replace the Steam Deck. It's either A, I need the OLED and I really want to be able to try it out, or like I have the disposable income to do it, or B, I would just wait to the Steam Deck too. But anyway, all right, that is going to be it for today's episode of Morning Coffee with Steve. I want to thank you all for listening and watching. I hope this is okay with the hotel sort of setup. It's not the ideal, but it's the best I can be able to do. Anyway, thanks so much. If you have any comments about any of the stories I talked about today, please leave them in the comments down below. If you want to be able to like and please subscribe to this channel, really, really appreciate it. It would help out a lot. Anyway, thanks so much. And yeah, talk to you tomorrow. As always, I remain obediently yours. Bye-bye.